Oh boy.
All right. We are now live. So, welcome all two people that will probably watch this. I was bored, so we are going to redo this tier list that we kind of did like a while back. But there's been like a ban since then. DOA got banned, etc., etc. So we're just gonna be going over this, etc., etc. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, Among Us. What are your thoughts on Among Us, bro? This guy, I have
My
conflicting
thoughts on
thoughts.
Among Us.
I have conflicting thoughts of this guy, to be honest. Let's,
My opinion has changed in the positive direction a little bit for this month. I still think it's like low tier 3 right now. I don't think it's good at clicking Spore. I think it's only good as redirection when you need it over an Ogre Pond for specific teams, which is not all that common, and it's good enough at that. It's just really pressured into a metagame with so many ice types running around and so many grass types running around to eat Spore and follow me, grass type, saying you don't get to Spore at all. Like, I feel like I have to run Sludge Bomb on this thing all the time and can't fit Pollen Puff, and that in itself is another problem with it when I do run it. Like, I have to run
yeah,
Sludge Bomb just for Ogapon.
it's kind of like got its issues. However, I do think it's like one of the better redirectors at the moment. I've like really unimpressed with Wellspring lately. We're probably gonna see that later on, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this is tier 2 for me. It's like the bottom of tier 2, but like Pollen Puff is such great utility alongside like Spore. It's just kind of just does some Among Us things. Um, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on it. My opinion has gone up a little bit. I've had some decent teams, but it enables a few bonds that like it's kind of difficult to like position otherwise, you know.
We'd leave this for reconsidering if we overcrowd the tier 2, which
Yes,
probably will later.
I probably do. We always overcrowd tier 2. It do be like that. All right, let's see. Okay, Arcanine Hisui. Hmm. I feel this is tier 3 for me. I don't really. It's like it's definitely usable, but it's not like one of the top tier fire types in my opinion. It's like close, but it's not quite there. It's definitely usable because the rock stab really punishes a lot of teams, but like those are not well built teams, to be honest.
This this is one of the best fire types at punishing ices in the tier, surprisingly and strangely as that may sound, but it actually punishes QREM with the rock stab very, very effectively, and it's really good with Powell, just as a breaker, which we saw a lot more on the earlier side of right after Deoxys got banned. There were a lot of teams running around with it. It's toned down a little bit, but honestly, I find myself winning this guy over Incineroar a lot as a fire type intimidator on teams that, well, I just want more offense for the most part, something faster,
Yeah, I
which
agree with that.
is
It has
to
like it
outcompete
trades.
Incineroar as an intimidator. It's not easy.
It's like you trade the positional ability of Instant for something that just hits a lot harder and has like better moves to click. Oh, actually, no, that's not even true. Knockoff is better. But like this is like this is a fine one. You can run it. I don't really like personally not like a big
This
believer, but there's been like a lot of people using it, so 3 is like definitely more accurate than anything else, I think. All right,
this Pokemon click head smash and the backs dies.
Arcaludon. You are, to be honest. No, I'm just kidding. This is like tier 2, I think. There's like I don't think it's splashable enough really to be tier 1 at all. It's just like not that guy, in my opinion. But it is that guy at being really annoying. There's obviously a fair number of sets with this. AV leftovers occasionally, etc., etc. Kind of struggles
Snarl
with like
Dragon Tail has been
the only thing
picking
that
up a lot
actually
lately.
deals with it is Lindo Eye. but Lento is very good, so like whatever. Um, what are your thoughts?
I've been seeing this mon more and more lately with the Snarl set on a couple of different teams. I myself have been running it with Tinglu, as you well know. It's very annoying, but there are other players that I've run into on ladder that are running it like good players, not ladder players. I mean, but, like it's very close to being tier one for me, just on how effective it is at being a threat and how stupid it is at ruining games.
Yeah, there was like a set the other day. I think it was like Gen 1 versus Railgun. And Railgun just brought Arcaludon like all 3 games. And the 2 games he won, the mod was literally just unkillable. Like it just sat there and took nothing the entire game. It's like it's an annoying mod. Can't lie. I don't really necessarily think it's broken, but it's just annoying. But it's definitely tier 2. It's like it can be used on like more things than it really should be able to, if that makes sense. It's kind of a mon that has like one designed goal, and that's Electroshot. But unfortunately, they made the mistake of giving it stamina. And I think they got amnesia or something and just forgot what that ability did. So yeah, I don't really fuck our call on, man. Fuck this guy. All right, Bask F.
Playing against Arcaludon feels like playing against old NatDex coaching mons, but somehow worse.
True. That's actually a fair description. It stacks like so fast, really. Especially when you run like iron defense shit on it too. It's like the only thing in DOU this gen that has really felt like that to me is Annihilate. It's not like as insane as Annihilate by any means, but it's really like I think it's similar in the way it like kind of just takes over games. Um, it just doesn't quite have like the setup for itself to really like, or the thing is like its broken move doesn't synergize with the part of it that makes it really frustrating to play against, as well as like
Yeah.
Annihilate did. But it's very, very, very good, obviously. All right, Bask F. I think this is like tier 5. I don't really want to talk too much about it, but Last Respects is kind of stupid. But fortunately enough, this mod is terrible in literally every other respect. So it's like, we give it tier 5 for the people that complain about Last Respects, such as the guy on the call right now, besides myself.
We are very fortunate that we are in a metagame where all of the priority moves that are being spammed are super effective against this Pokemon.
That's actually hilarious. It's true. Thunderclap,
We have
Sucker
an
Punch, Drastic
Articuno
Glide.
Instigator.
Oh no.
We have an Articuno Instigator in chat, and it is not on this list. Is that going to be our first add-on?
I guess it is going to be our first add-on. I see. I can't even respond to this because I can't even leak. I'm upset. I'm upset. This is uncalled for. We'll rank Articuno next.
What do you mean leak? You both said leak.
All right, where's Articuno, bruh?
It's not on this list. We gotta add it.
Just pass me the image file, bruh. Let's see.
Oh my goodness.
I think like Articuno is like tier 4. To be honest, I've only seen like one person actually run it, the ESM, and quite frankly, I can't really put anything ESM runs higher than tier 4, because otherwise that would be taking away from the heat he brings. So like, you know.
It's one of the fan games, so he actually has brought it, and I'll be honest, I can see it with this mon sometimes. It's just bullshit incarnate. Sometimes you just win for free without any effort. It's like, oh look, I managed to get the freeze, or I dodged, and it does just enough damage to like pull things through. But it's really emblematic of, wow, ice types are really strong in the tier right now because of a certain Pokemon that's at the top, being everywhere. It's just so
like,
am I?
we'll talk about Snow here, actually, just in general, for a good opportunity. This is like kind of one of my main thoughts I've had recently. I think Snow in general has fallen off. I put this in tier 3 just like a couple weeks ago. But really, like, nah, this shit's ass, bro. What, like, okay, I'm not gonna be that mean. I'll put A Tails in tier 3. But like, I think Snow just has so much counter. There's so many things it just struggles with when you actually run those things. Uh, for a long time, Snow
I've
was like
had
really bothering me because I was being really stupid and I was just running like Lando I Torn on literally every team, like with zero thought at all. But now that I actually have to play the game, unfortunately, uh, I'm building teams that don't have those two, and now all of a sudden I'm running Goldingo, and then I just 6-0 Snow. Like, bro, what are we doing here? I don't know. I think it's more Snow is like the same, but I think there's just a lot more of like respecting it now, uh, than we really saw like previously. Um, at least for myself, at least. It's still
I've
definitely strong.
been it is good, and I've been forced to innovate a couple of my Ninetales sets lately. I've actually been running Encore Disable on Ninetales a lot lately. Like, a lot, a lot. Because it doesn't have the speed to click those buttons. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
But
Ninetales is that's a pretty decent line itself. I think that's what really separates it from like the other weather setters, and I think I got to put that like higher than like the other the other weathers to be honest. I'll look to put Kyurem as well. I'm gonna put this like slightly ahead of Articuno at tier 4. I don't really. I think that's like where it is
are
right
we
now.
really going to put Articuno above Basque Legion?
Yes, Basque. I've not seen Basque like one time. Basque is like a remnant of a dying age, bro, and the dying age is Basque M. Like this is Basque M is the Byzantine Empire that's like about to get invaded, and then like Basque M is like the Roman Empire that got like overthrown by the evil daily mafia. Like, bro,
I
this
just,
this
I
mod
think
is
you just
not
don't
that
want to
good.
give it the slot. I just
Well,
think you're morally opposed to it getting the slot in the first place.
can't lie, that is kind of true. Let's see. But Articuno, I think this is like still slightly better than Articuno, but really it doesn't have like it just kind of just sits there. It doesn't have like the setup to really do much, and it doesn't really like swing games by itself at all. Articuno can do that, but I don't even think Articuno does a good job at that. If I'm being completely honest, um, yeah, I think Ninetales itself, its kind of issue is this is the one weather where the center is better than the abusers. Aside from Max, which I'm going to put in tier 3. Max is really just a lot, I think, has a
Bax is
lot of
good.
utility outside of Snow as
I
well. It also pairs well on Snow. I think this is better than the other two.
mean, Vax is good without snow. Is the difference here? It doesn't need snow. It's just a compliment to this thing where it's like, oh, now I can barely ever KO it on the physical side if snow is up, as opposed to okay, this thing just clicks Swords Dance and Ice Shard KOs half a tier. What the hell? Or
Yeah,
just Glaive
it
Rush.
also just has like so many different sets it could run. Um, I'm a big Bax fan. Tier 3 feels accurate to me, I think. There's like the Assault Vest deck has some use as well, because it's like a very bulky one that can still do funny things with the
That
ice
is a
typing.
U set. That is a U set, and anyone watching this is going to be confused that you said that.
Bro, bro.
Be honest. Be
That is
honest. Do
hating.
not.
Generational
That is
hating here.
not hating. That is how it is.
Bro. Alright, Ched Pao, tier
Oh,
2.
look, another ice type.
It's ahead of Amoonguss behind Arc, I think. It's very good, in my opinion, but it's like not tier 1. Like I don't think we've ever put Pao in tier 1 for anything ever. But it's like a
I'm
generational tier 2 mod. Like this Pokemon just enables so much, and it has a lot. The ice typing is still very very effective at hitting things, uh, and it's one of the best like Pokemon that's actually taking advantage of that typing, because it's just so fast. Uh, and I think it really is a Pokemon that fits into like the kind of the game we're playing with like the top lines here. Uh, I can't really put it any, and I think it's better than Amoonguss. Our Caledon is a little bit more like bullshit than Pao is, hence why it's higher. But Pao is definitely tier 2 in my opinion.
I'm almost inclined to disagree and say that Pow needs to be like borderline. I have seen Pow on damn near every archetype in the tier lately. It is just the go-to check for KOing Lando, and it's on everything. That that advent of Tinglu hazards plus Pow and just giving it an abuser with Pow has led to it being on every single kind of archetype. It's on bulk, it's on offense, it's on balanced teams, has been since the Oxus was dropped from the tier. it's all over the place. It's on everything. It hits so much of the tier that it constantly pressures me in the builder. Like, this thing on its own is such a massive threat that I want to say it's borderline.
Yeah, actually, I kind of agree. I'm gonna put Arc here too, just because I think Arc is like kind of like that as well. I kind of forgot about the new Tinglu. So that Orform team is very threatening. Uh, should
It's
have
gone
given that a
beyond the
little more
Orthworm
credit.
version too. It's, that's a full on archetype in the tier now.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good mod. Yeah, I'll put Archaludon. I guess Pow is more splashable than Archaludon is, now that you're mentioning it. I kind of agree with that. Alright, let's see. Chi-Yu. This is my goat. I can't.
This is your guy.
I'm never putting this one lower than tier 2. I don't care what the haters say. This is the goat. I think like I will stand by my statement that I've had, my stance that I've had like pretty much the last like year at this point. The standard spec scarf sets, maybe those are like tier 3, but like anything that's bulkier than that is just very, very dangerous. Uh, this Pokemon has a good typing, and unlike Pow, it has the ability to like actually make itself bulky. I've seen a few decent teams with this recently. I think tier 2 is deserved. It's probably like the bottom, but I think I would rather use this over Arcanine, I think, on most teams.
Number one thing that causes this Mon problems in the tier, though, is without a doubt Landorus. That 1 point of speed over it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's like the main argument I can see for putting it down, is that it has a really bad time dealing with Landorus, and it nerfs the redirectors that want to help it against the matchup. So it's like, Lando and Wellspring give this mon issues that make it not as strong as it used to be, where it was easily a tier 1 Titan at one point in the tier's history.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Alright. Clefairy 5, I think. This is like up there with Basque. I don't really think this is like a serious game. This is not a Pokemon you should be like using a lot. Pokemon you could use like one time for a team tour to just troll someone. Hold on, is that better?
A little bit. This is the one NFE that Aragon will always hit on, apparently.
Well, this is
one Eviolite user that never gets your support.
Never. This guy is not him, to be honest. Okay. Press. Oh man, I never know where to put this one.
Just put it in 5.
Put it at the top of 5. It's definitely better than the other two, but it's like I don't see this at all, really.
It does its job well, and like you can play for the archetypes that it is like the core enabler of. Like, if you really want to spam Ursaluna, this is the mon that you run with it. And it has the ability to run enough special attack to go for KOs on Lando. It's decent in Lando just because of Levitate, so that's a big boon in its direction over some other setters in the tier right now. And Ally Switch is Ally Switch. It's annoying as all hell. But like, there's so many Trick Room setters in the tier, and none of them, like, every single Trick Room setter in the tier feels like it has some kind of problem.
Well, the other thing is, like, the other Trick Room setters, like, actually do things. Crest's problem is kind of just it doesn't really do much.
I think he needs damage.
Like, well, yeah, that's true. But, like, I'm kind of tempted to put this bottom of 4. We'll have to see where we can rank everything else. Dio Normal, I low-key haven't seen this guy at all. Bottom of 5. Alright. DOS?
Every time I build with Dio Normal, it's just the most volatile, evil-looking teams. Like, if you want to build with Dio Normal, it's like the same as building with Basque F. It can blow things up, but your team is incredibly volatile. You were playing a degenerate game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this probably should in like a metagame where everything gets used more. things actually get properly like tested out. I think this is like probably like a bottom of tier 4 mon, or maybe middle of tier 4, but we just haven't seen it at all. I can't put it any higher than this. All right, Dio, speed. I think this is 4 for me. I think we're not seeing this enough to put it any higher, but I think this mon has a lot of potential. Ice beam to hit Lando, Psycho Boost to kind of hit things, and then obviously Hazard and Taunt. I think Taunt could really make a big deal on this mon, because it's obviously
I
like
think
the
my
fastest mon with Taunt.
I think my favorite thing about this Pokemon is the way it completely shuts out Glimora, which is something that I can't really say for like anything else on the tier that's like a dedicated lead mon.
Yeah,
Like
that's true. That's true.
Glimora is one of the most consistent mons in this entire generation, and this is like the only thing that I've seen that's around that's like, if I run this, I don't worry about Glimora. I can either taunt it or just blow it up. And I'm always faster, and I always have hazard priority over it.
Yeah, yeah. I like this one a lot. I think we should see more use of this. I think it's underused right now compared to what I think it could really do. All right, Glamora itself, just go it together. I think top of tier 3 is fair for this guy. It kind of just says the same thing it always says. It has the Meteor Beam presence now too. You could even argue for like tier 2. What even is this right now? It's in tier 2. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't really think I can drop this. This is a very consistent one. It kind of still does what it always has done. I think the set versatility helps it a fair bit as well. But personally, I still think like the Stealth Rock, Wordle Spin, Power Gem, whatever set, I think that's the better one. In terms of being like more usable, the part of what makes Glabora so annoying is just being able to like get through the sash and then KO it without like actually getting like the T spikes up on yourself. I don't know.
And then you side U-turn and there's T-spikes up anyways and you want to die.
Yeah. The only time I actually feel comfortable playing against this mod is when I have my own poison type. Alright, Diancie. Oh man, this Pokemon has seen some struggles lately. I think it's bottom of tier 3. It's still definitely like a very unique Trick Room setter in that its weaknesses are very different, which makes it like very helpful.
I will give it props for being really, really good into POW and snow in general.
Yeah,
But
that's
everything
facts.
else is kind of like it's like aside from that aspect of the tier, it's not having the best of times because fire types are a lot less prominent right now. Aside from Incin, but Incin
As
is Incin.
Lamuro said, the Diancie for being annoying. That's how I feel about this one. It's very annoying. It has like a couple really good matchups, then everything else is just so bad for it. But it is just like practically an auto win into some teams, in my opinion. All right, Dondozo. I've seen this more than the others in tier 5. You can't lie.
I like this mon. I like this mon a lot. This mod is really, really good at using unaware.
Yeah, it also has a couple other abilities it can do. Not bad at all, in my opinion. Very niche, but it is a water type, and it does kind of surprising damage with Wave Crash.
It's one of those mons that's like very modest at what it does, and you have to be very specific with the type of team that you want it for, but it is very good at what it does. And it can patch up unique holes that nothing else in the tier can.
Yeah. All right, Dragapult.
You are. I don't want to see this thing.
You are is wild. I'm putting this in tier 4. I think like we're just not seeing enough of this. This is a good Pokemon. It's faster than like pretty much everything in the metagame. I think we need to see this next to Cot, and we need to see this next to Pow. Those are the two things it pairs well with, and I think it can do both of them decently.
My problem with it is that
real.
I think the special set is the only thing that gives this credit because like if I'm gonna put a dragon type next to Pal, I'm using Dragonite or I'm using Gouging Fire. I'm not using this. Like those two mons are just better than this next to Pal, in my opinion, in almost every conceivable way.
Yeah, most of the
Like
time.
their stabs just aren't limited, and Howl is funny with Gouging Fire, and it's much faster and more threatening. This thing just kind of does its own and doesn't have an effective ghost stab. Like I'll give props to this special set though, because being a fast special attacker in this tier, like way over the speed bar of everything else, is pretty valuable. And
That's
I'm partial to this opinion because of Spectrier, but
I'm
I don't
actually
think
gonna.
it's tier 4.
I remembered Spectre existed, so I'm gonna put it at 5. Spectre is mostly better for that, but I don't think you. I think UR would be definitely a mistake for this Pokemon. It's just too fast and too strong to really put this unranked, in my opinion. So, all right, Dragonite 3. This is always
It's back to
one
3.
one tier lower than POW, basically. Um, it's
A
strong
little bit
HP
further
spammer.
now, but
It does what it always does, etc., etc. All right, Enamorous 5. Another funny Pokemon like Dragapult. You can use it next to Whimsicott. You can use it next to other things. It has a couple sets. You can run Superpower. I think Superpower is aight. Probably like the strongest Pokemon to actually using Fury moves. But that's only because everything else is like even worse, in my opinion.
Buttermain special attack with that Moonblast, it can hurt. It can definitely hurt. It's just
Yeah,
why am I a flying type in a tier with POW and Raging Bolt? My life is misery.
this is like one of the first Pokemon I've ever seen where the flying type actively hurts it. All right, Entei. I really thought this Pokemon was going to be better than it actually turned out being. I can't lie. This
It's
guy's on
fine.
Fraud Watch. This Pokemon is on Giga Fraud Watch, but I'm gonna put it in the bottom of tier 4. Uh, it has like it's
That's
very
where I would put
bulky.
it.
It's very bulky. Has a broken move. Click Snarl, Stomping Tantrum, Sacred Fire, E-Speed. It's definitely a good utility mod, and I think like now that POW exists, it's definitely better than like in any other gen we've had it in.
It
But I
has a
also don't
very
really think
well-rounded set.
it's not good enough to be anywhere else.
The set that this thing has is very nice and well-rounded. Sacred Fire and Extreme Speed are just mandatory, and then you can just have Snarl or Stomping, or I've even seen Helping Hand on this thing to be absolutely stupid with some of the power abusers. And there's Life Orb and there's Assault Vest and there's even Bandage sets running around. Like it has a good amount of variability. I've actually seen it on non-POW teams because Sacred Fire is just that stupid, and it does have a decent speed Snarl, like 100 speed Snarl with respectable bulk and Sacred Fire. It it's got its niche. It's very effective.
Yeah. All right. Excadrill. This is like borderline UR, borderline 5.
I don't even want to pity him. I just want to put him down.
All right, but
the amount of Tyranitar teams that I have seen over the past month from multiple different players, and they never use this mon. This mon is just not good enough. It's not unusable, but like you're using it with Tyranitar, and Tyranitar is already like fundamentally counteracting the metagame. It's using up a space on the team that is just not overwhelmingly beneficial, or more importantly, you don't have to ever account for this mon in a builder. Ever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not unusable, but it's unviable. If that makes sense. All right. Trigraph 3, I think. This is probably the best Trick Room setter, I think.
I think this is the best mon added in the entire generation in terms of healthy metagame presence.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this mon. Funny priority blocking, very very helpful in this generation in particular. Good Trick Room setter. Pairs nicely with like Blood Moon. Can also be used on faster teams as well. Uh, yeah, I think it's decent. All right, Gallade, you are, bruh. Keanu's not in this call, so you know, I could put it in you are. All right, Garganackle, bro. Can we stop talking about this fool? Okay, Goldango.
I actually saw a Garganacl T1 letter that was like half decent the other day, but I will not talk in its favor.
That Pokemon is not that guy. Let's see. Uh, what are we on here? Oh, Goldango. I think this one is like underappreciated for just how splashable it is. I'm a big fan. I almost want to put it in like
Broken
tier
typing.
1.5. I'm not sure if that's like fair though, so I'm just gonna put it at the top of tier 2. Uh, it's just like such a good ability, such a good typing, and such an ability to like actually it contributes something to every game. I think when it's played well, it just has like the
Broken
easiest way to
typing.
set up in the entire game. No Pokemon has like such ease having like a free turn between like immunity to status and the typing. Yeah,
There is no other Pokemon on this list with typing plus ability that straight up walls as many Pokemon that are here as Goldango does. Like, you could take probably 40% of the Pokemon on this list, and Goldango probably hard walls them. Just outright.
yeah. All right, we see Limuro in the chat. Goldingo is tier 0 versus fat teams. Tier 2 versus all other archetypes. That is so facts. And just for that comment alone, I'm going to bump that up to tier 1.5. That's facts. All right.
It's not even wrong.
Gouging Fire. Bottom of 3, top of 4.
Honeymoon phase is worn off after the best set was found out. It's not seeing nearly as much use as it was last month.
Yeah. I guess better than Entei by a lot. I'll put it bottom of tier 3. I think this Pokemon has like still a lot of potential. We see it a fair amount, not like a dominant amount by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good. This Pokemon has some of the best stats I've ever seen. I'm really
It
glad
has
it's in
one
the
of the
game.
most has one of the most splashable moves in the tier in Heat Crash. The sheer amount of Pokemon it can whack.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even on neutral hits, it is a problem clicking that move.
Grimmsnarl. One
Been
tier below
asked what your thoughts about
Ninetales.
Excadrill are.
Who did? Let's see. Oh, Exca? It's like
It's
what
not
we said about it, it's like it's not unusable, but it's not applicable on like the majority of like you just most sand teams don't even have it. I think it's definitely better than the other two we put in UR, and it realistically could be a tier 5 as well. But I also think it just has so many struggles into like the common Pokemon, right? Plantoy in
it's
particular
just
being
that
really good.
Excadrill is restricted to an archetype that's already anti-meta / niche and isn't even on that archetype a consistent amount of the time. Is like, so how can you justify it being in tier 5? Because it's like not even having a defined niche in a specific role.
Yeah, they've seen this like a couple times with success. ESM used it in DPL. I don't think they could definitely like mess around with it to some decent success. But I think to make Excadrill work, you have to put in like a lot of effort. And I don't think it's necessarily the correct way to use sand, basically. All right. Heatran.
I'm a hater.
I'm just gonna let you talk on this one. Take the floor.
What team do you run this on? What team in this tier can you run this Pokemon on? There is not a single team in the entire format that I have seen that would want a Heatran over literally any other fire type. Volcanion is better for having a bulky special attacking fire type because it has water stab that actually hits a huge chunk of the tier. It has broken steam eruption. You have Incineroar as generalist fire type that actually does fire type things and walls and just like it's your defensive fire type. You have Arcanine as your breaker. You have Pow and you have Entei and Gouging Fire for Pow teams. You have Chi-Yu as your setup sweeper fire type. What does this do? It doesn't do anything when there's a Landorus running around that Okoza with any random ground type move right now. There's no reason for you to Terra this one because there's so much more effective Terra abusers at the top now. In Landorus, in Pow, in Goldango, in Arcaludon. There's just no reason to run it. You own like I've spent a ridiculous amount of time thinking about how I could possibly use this in the tier. The only thing that I've thought of that it might work with this Pokemon is like maybe Magma Storm on a Ting-Lu type structure for chip damage into Pow, but it's like Ting-Lu does that itself with Sand Tomb even. Like it's just hard. E-Trend has had this problem since Gen 6. Why am I using this over Volcanion? And it's finally come back around to it in this gen.
Yeah, I don't think it's like. Okay. I still think this Pokemon is not terrible, to be honest. I think like I don't really understand why entirely people are like refusing to use this Pokemon. Like I understand in theory a little bit, but like I don't think it's that bad per se. But I don't see it I don't see it at all. I can't put it higher than 5 when I don't see it at all. All right, Ensign.
I think
what are your thoughts on Ensign?
Well, let's say one last thing on Heatran. I think one of the biggest shifts in the tier is there was a point where Volcanion and Heatran were like the main mons for stopping Flutterman, and Flash Fire on Heatran was like a huge thing to have because you had Heat Wave from Chi-Yu, from Heatran, from Volcanion. You had some Flare Blitzes running around in the tier. It's like Fire was a legitimate type to look out for, and now I wouldn't even call it like a top 5 threatening offensive type in the tier right now because not enough people are running Chi-Yu. Gouging Fire is dropped off. Arcanine's seen less use. Entei is not like spammed a whole lot. Volcanion is like around, but it's not on a huge number of teams, and it's usually clicking Steam Eruption over just clicking Heat Wave. And Incineroar is Incineroar. It's like okay, it'll do decent damage with Flare Blades, but it's not like the big threat. It's the support Pokemon. So Flash Fire's value is significantly diminished compared to before, and I think that's like the biggest thing that's helped it fall off, aside from Lando exploding. And
Oh
for
yeah,
Incineroar, I'm
Lando.
like,
I forgot about Lando. Yeah, Lando I being good makes this Pokemon so shit. Okay. Ensign. Kind of want to put this in tier 1.
I've been avoiding this one a lot lately.
Top of tier 2, I think. It's like, it's Ensign, right? So it's obviously like very good, but its issue is just like, I think in long term, you never actually see a doubles metagame where Ensign is a tier 1 Pokemon. Like long term, I don't think it. Like it's always a tier 2. It's like, it's not dominant. It's just a very great supporting piece to actually have. Long term, I think we've seen in SM, settles more into a tier 2 role. It's still obviously a good Pokemon. Gen 8, I think it's kind of similar. In Gen 8, it's probably like borderline between tier 2 and tier 1. But I think in SV, realistically, long term, it's going to settle in tier 2. This Pokemon's too good to obviously be any like lower than that, but it's not the Pokemon that I'm like really worried about in the team builder at all, or anything like that. All right.
I think another issue I have with Incineroar is like it's strangely very polarizing in this tier. Like it completely dunks on the 2 mons that we have above it right now just by virtue of having its typing, but like it enables Gambit really hard. It can't do anything about Landorus. Ogerpon kind of just like, okay, you're wasting your time here, buddy. I'm Ogerpon's just gonna click follow me or bonk you for half of your health, and it's just gonna neutralize. Like, it's not as consistent value anymore as it's than previously because of Clear Amulet, and we have a really good defined user in Gambit, and some of the typings that are around are like, I don't always want Incineroar.
Yeah,
I want it to patch certain matchups, and that's a big difference between what it would be if it was a tier 1 mon where it just like helps check the whole tier.
I also think there's like really good fire types, even if they're not like used as much. Those fire types are still like really good, in my opinion. All right, the DD4, I think. Side spam has kind of like fallen off a fair amount. I think. I'll put Crowd with it as well. I think these two together are obviously very strong. Peter's been running it a fair amount. It's definitely good, but it's not. It's like top of tier 4. I can't put it in tier 3. Side spam like by itself is like not oppressive enough without like DOA to really be tier 2 or tier 3 really. Uh, that's kind of all I have to say. Good, but not good enough for 3. It's a very self-contained archetype. Bundle.
I realized it. Hey, our last ice type.
Last ice type. Oh no. Tier 1, just kidding. Bottom tier 4, I think. The Pokemon's like I've tried it a few times and it's honestly felt like not bad. Like you can make it like really bulky with like AV. It's a rare water type, and that's kind of the one reason you're using it. Not actually for the ice type, but for the water type. Um, obviously very fast. That's kind of it.
It's a rare poke. It's one of the only Pokemon in the tier that like greatly outspeeds Landorus and can kill it with a spread move, like super super easily. Like
True.
in itself makes me consider it on some teams. Like you can build around it. It's just be careful about Rillaboom and Bolt.
Yeah.
Worm.
Hands. Where is this guy currently? Tier 2? Yeah, tier 2 is fair.
He got promoted back up. He's just doing his thing. He's really settled down. Like we know what to expect from Hands now. He's not really being a bullshit mon anymore. You sometimes see this with Psy Speed on Psy Spam. Like it's really good at anchoring down Psy Spam with that and either having a Clear Amulet or Psy Seed. So it's like it has a little bit of set variety, but it's mostly just a team stabilizer.
Yeah.
And
good.
My God,
Not,
if there's any Pokemon around that everyone has a different opinion on what the EVs are, it's Iron Hands. Good God.
True.
Oh, God.
This seems some use. I'm not gonna put it UR, but I also think it's like kind of shit. I've not been impressed a single time with what Pokemon has done in an actual game.
Just need to check something. Real quick. I know there was a Jugulus nom lately. Oh, that was in March. Yeah, Bagel nom this to tier 5.
Yeah, it seems some use in like OSCT on a team. I think that was built by Bagel. It's like it clicks Tailwind. Congratulations. Your worst Void Moon, which is worse Tornadus. But it's Tailwind.
It's basically saying, what if I was like bulky Tailwind Snarl Mew, but I can't be taunted by a Torn, and I'm actually fast. That's basically what this thing's role is. It's fine at that. It's got a pretty strong Hurricane if you land it. Like, you can find a niche for this. It's just very limited.
That's fair. That's fair.
Ah, my obsession Pokemon. Hello, Keldeo.
Yeah, okay, Keldeo. 4, probably. I think it's like I've obviously seen it be used like to some decent success. Yeah, that's a really funny typing. It's like it's not like excellent, but it's good. I think, in my opinion, it's like
Typing is very unique for walling certain Pokemon in the tier, and it has just enough bulk to like function in Glide and Thunderclap land. Like if you invest it properly, it can live those. And one of the best things about this Pokemon is that it's faster. It's a water type with Hydro Pump that's faster than Landoi. You can always threaten Landoi with this thing out if you're not getting speed controlled on. Some decent set variety is possible with like coaching and specs and a couple utility moves, but it's like it's a water type that can do water type things in a tier that kind of doesn't have any good ones aside from Water Pun.
Kingdra, Lamau, you are, bruh. Okay. King Gambit. 2, probably. Tier 3? I can't bring this down. I don't. It's fine. It's a fine tier 2 Pokemon. Like I can't say with good conscience that like it's at the same level as Arcanine Hisui. I don't think. Like this Pokemon.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. It's just so helpful
You
for
can
like
just run away
teams
with
that have.
games.
Yeah, it's very, especially if you run like Grassy Seed. It's like mini Arcalodon, except it does actual damage. With just minimal self boosting. Yeah, it punishes instant. It pairs really nicely with a lot of like the more offensive, physical stuff. Yeah. All right, Cleaver tier 5, Perma tier 5 mon. Nice like compression between like clicking like obviously a move and sitting Stealth Rock at the same time. There's a few funny other moves, but really like Pokemon itself is pretty terrible.
Broken.
Yeah.
Stonex is just a broken move with a ridiculous attacking stat for base 500 stat on. Like, you would not expect this thing to be 135 attack stat with sharpness boosted rock stab. But it does click that button, and it's like, what the fuck? I'm dead.
Yeah. It's hilarious to be able to, like, do half your, like, the mod's health and then set rocks at the same time. But the stat line is really just, like, quite mid. But it's not unusable by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah.
It was just a little bit faster, man. Just a little bit faster.
Just a little bit faster. Alright, Komodo 4, I think. Probably the top of 4.
I've seen more Clanger than Iron Press lately.
Yeah, I think that set is like not bad. I think Iron Press is probably like the correct way to still run it. Because it's like it has stab body press and it just hits very hard. Arcalodon tries its best to do the body press stuff, but the only thing that separates it from Komodo is the fact it gets the boost like just from the ability and not the move itself. And actually clicking Iron Defense Body Press, Komodo I think is on the same level as Arcalodon. Just because it has stab. And while the typing is not nearly as good, it's like with the stab body press, you're chilling. You're still getting value. And this Pokemon can really take over games, as we've seen many times. All right, Landoi, tier 1. I don't really.
Tier 1.
This Pokemon is just so splashable on so many teams, and it like okay. The reason we're putting it here, look at tier 2 and tier 1.5.
And tier 3.
The majority of these Pokemon are weak to Earth Power. Like the good Pokemon this generation are just weak to this guy. Although it is definitely like a fair Pokemon, it's pressured by like POW and stuff. I think anything else than tier 1 is really just like underselling the impact it has on this metagame. It's just
if you're not weak to Earth Power, there's a good chance you're weak to Sludge Bomb. Hi, Rillaboom. It's really can't not be understated in my mind how stupid Terra Poison Sludge Bomb is for this thing as well.
Yeah, as well. I've run Terra Steel a lot lately too, and I think that's really like powerful as well. It swings the matchups a lot. Because Steel with Ground Flying is just a very excellent like type switch. Poison obviously of use as well. Just a very good Pokemon. The wall breaker in this tier. Yeah. I think there's going to be a couple more we're going to put up in tier 1 as well. We'll see. Lando T. I think this is like tier 3. Um, like as
And
a
that's
mod.
despite Lando Eye.
Yeah. And maybe it's top of tier 4. But I think this Pokemon has like a lot. It's very good at clicking rocks. It's very bulky. And again, there's a lot of ground weaks, and
This is the
it's
only
just
Intimidator that isn't weak to Lando Eye.
yeah, that as well.
The only viable one. I don't think anyone wants to use Gyarados.
Not bro, Squawkabilly. That's my guy. That's my guy.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah. It just matches. It also is like a nice defensive tool against opposing Lando, and it's just obviously bulkier with Intimidate. You invest it bulkier, it does more like stuff like that. Uh, Good Pokemon.
It's just
But
like if
obviously,
I'm not using
not as good
Lando
as
Eye, it's not as good. But if I'm not using Lando Eye, I consider Lando T on a lot of my teams right now.
yeah,
That ground flying typing is just really useful to have in one form or another.
yeah. It's just very key to this like specific metagame, in my opinion. Kingdra and Excadrill and UR is criminal. Man,
Venture's not happy.
I mean, you know what? I might be hating. Paldean Tauros, yo. Water type one? Kind of fire, can't lie. Okay. Latios,
Oh,
Latios.
my
Oh,
lord.
man. These two are funny. These two are very funny. I've seen Latios a little
These are
bit.
good.
It's a little bit more.
These are good Pokemon.
I'm going to put Latios tier 5, Latios tier 4. Just because Latios, like, blows things up. And they have a really funny ability for this metagame in terms of, like, walling Lando Eye. Looking to Steel, it can totally wall Lando Eye. If it's clearing Sludge
These
Bomb.
things are some of the best Terra abusers in the tier in terms of how much it makes them so much more stupid because of
Yeah.
Levitate.
For sure. Like,
You-
these two, like,
you
flip
Terra
so
Steel.
many matchups. What do you Terra Steel?
Terra's I will give props to Latias. Terra Steel with Recover, Calm Mind, Stored Power, and Grassy Seed is actually a terrorist Pokemon in this tier. There are so many things that it will wall out entirely and win games on if your team isn't type balanced correctly.
Yeah, but I'll move it up. I haven't actually seen that set, but in a while, but I think that set still definitely should exist. Latios itself, seen ESM use it a couple times. I've generally pretty impressed with how it's performed. Not crazy or anything, but it's just a nice, fast offensive mon. It does struggle into POW and company, especially Goldango. Neither of these guys can really do anything to Goldango. All right. Loligan and Sui, Perma tier 5. Do very funny sun Pokemon. Nothing else. Manaphy.
I've really, really tried for this Pokemon. Multiple different ways on multiple different teams. I don't know if I see it anymore. We actually tried making a Manaphy team, it was like 3 weeks ago now, where we tried Tailglow again.
Yeah.
It just holds things back. It's
I'll
it's
drop it to
really,
UR.
really hard to use any water type in this tier as long as Ogerpon's like top for use rate. Like you
Yeah.
really have to have some excellent traits to stand out as a water type in this tier.
Yeah, for sure. It's just
Or,
it
like,
just
some
struggles
traits
to really
for
get value.
active
I think.
pitching.
Yeah. All right. Base Metagross. This guy is not that guy. I cannot lie.
Tell me why the best set I've seen for this mon is Choice Band Boom. What is this? Is this thing coming out of Gen 3? That's the only set I've seen this thing run.
Bro. Yeah, that's true.
How did we get here from Gen 8? What happened? What happened to my goat?
Me when I take away Cosmic Power. Me when I take
Why
away
is that its best set
the
of
funniest set. Yeah, it really just doesn't have like the board presence. Struggles. I think this would be like tier 4 if Lando Eye wasn't like the best wall breaker in the tier, and then POW didn't exist. Like, this is just a
And
metagame
then
thing. The
Goldingo didn't wall it.
Pokemon still has like excellent stats and this clear body, etc. but it's just matchup spread is so abysmal. It's actually so bad.
How does this thing beat Goldango in time to not die?
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't.
It gets +2
Like,
for a bulldoze with weakness policy, and then a quick stopping tantrum, and it's still for another kill. But that's my thoughts. Okay, you 4, I think.
one guy. Definitely 4.
Yeah, the utility is really nice. Pollen Puff, etc. Coaching, Snarl, Tailwind, whatever. Um, Still suffers from not having Fake Out. Obviously, that was like the really big loss that pushed this guy down. But the Pokemon itself is very helpful for like a lot of teams that have like bulkier mons. It just has so many good tools for like positioning or like debuffing the opponent, clicking Snarl, preventing like their special attackers from running away with the game, clicking Wisp
Or
to
buffing
do the
your
same
own
thing.
mons.
Yeah, it's a very
And
helpful utility Pokemon.
it even has the right coverage and enough attack stat to like actually kill things if you EV it for it. Like I've run Ice Beam on this countless times. I've run Expanding Force on this a couple times with Ice Spam teams. It can hurt if you put into
Yeah,
it. Very malleable.
yeah, it's a Mew. It does everything. All right, Galtris. The tier 4 is the one that's getting kind of crowded, but I think I gotta put it top bottom of tier 3.
I really haven't seen it much lately.
I've only seen Act use it, but Act did have like a very successful run in the OSGT. I think using stuff like Sinister Ultras. I think we should see this more. This is a very good combination. Matches up pretty well into Lando and Goldango as well. Pow is more annoying for it, obviously, because you're stacking 2 Ice Weeks, but these two are definitely good. I'd rather use them than these Pokemon in Tier 4, for sure. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's a little bit hard to run one without the other, and that really limits, like, the way they function. Which is really funny, because they're not, like, exactly Pokemon that necessarily synergize well together automatically. It's just the ability plus the other ability. Good,
Sinistcha
not
can
higher
run
than
on a
3.
few other teams if you really want. It's nice. It's a nice Trick Room setter that isn't affected by Lando Eye that much, given the typing. And they got
Yeah,
him in.
that's true.
But like
Eh, Sinister,
it
like,
the Goltress
higher.
synergy is probably the most prominent thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, Necrozma.
I've
Decent E-Force clicker, but that's like all it does. It sets Tailwind like somewhat effectively, but Sky Spam
I'll
is
give
just
it
not
props
that
for
good.
being really good. I'll give it props for that one Ratbacker team that was like kind of terrorizing this year for a couple weeks. But that was
Yeah,
mostly our Caledon being funny, if I'm being honest.
AV Metagross is okay. Yeah, for sure. Um, it's like, nah. I'd rather be using something else, I think. Like, I'd rather be using AV Arcalodon if I'm using AV Metagross. Uh, it's like, just a lot of opportunity cost for Metagross, really. Alright, Cornerstone. I have unhappy thoughts about this Pokemon. This is a Pokemon I think I need to prevent myself from ever running again. No elaboration. Okay. Heartflame 3, I think. This thing, like, really hits things hard. I've started running, like, a lot more offensive Overpunch. That has helped. And I think, like, the gap between this and Wellspring is a lot closer than I've had in mind for, like, a while. Yeah,
It's
good Pokemon.
I think the best benefit of Hearthflame is that it is so effective with Rillaboom around, like in any shape or form. Like those two together form an absolutely terrifying combo of utility and power. Like it's very splashable too. Like it's a surprising amount of power for balanced teams to play with, and it's very malleable.
Yeah, that's fair. Alright. Wellspring itself, I think this is a 1.5er. Obviously, it's still very excellent, the best water type. maybe the best grass type even. Follow me, very excellent at clicking that. But I've struggled to really get value out of it in like the ways that I used to in the past. I had like for those of you that don't know, I had like a very long tournament stretch where I was running this on like basically every team. Uh, but it's not having Flutter to support makes it like not as not as easy for it to generate value. Uh, it's still very good, like probably the best redirection mod, but I don't think it's tier 1 anymore. Um, or I don't think it's like an easy tier 1. Like you could definitely consider it. Really, all these mods are pretty close up here. Uh, but yeah, it's not quite that guy. All right, Palafin. Oh, very sad. 5. I can't put it anywhere else. This Pokemon, I think it still do some funny stuff. I think honestly, this Pokemon's just been like not a like. There's just some hating about this Pokemon. This Pokemon could be used. We're just not seeing it at all. If there's anyone that's gonna use it, it's gonna be me. And honestly, like I had my phase. I don't really feel like using it anymore.
Strangely limited move pool, I will say.
Me when all I have is water move, fighting move, ice move. This is a Pokemon that like Wellspring really keeps in check, like by itself. Size Spam and like Wellspring are the two things that this Pokemon just hates facing beyond anything else, because you can't click your Jet Punch. The Choice
For
Band
a
said
draft.
it's probably like interesting on Rain or whatever, but like I think on Rain you kind of just want to get going anyway, uh, before you do anything. So it's like the turn to actually like get it to its real form and then set it up after. It just takes too long to get it going. I think that really is what hurts it, for my opinion. All right, Pelipper.
It's just a momentum sink when there's mons like Pal running around threatening half a tier and Lionel running around threatening half a tier and Goldingo
Yeah,
just like, oh, you're giving me a free turn? Oh, you time to lose the game.
yeah. The momentum sync is a great way to describe it. The times this Pokemon's been good in the past is when there's like a team that can like really thrive off of like slowing the game down, getting that free switch in, getting the value out of the free switch in. And I don't think it's like this Pokemon has so many stats and it can be so threatening with bulk up, but it's just the metagame just is not right for it. Um, and in general, obviously, double's not as favorable to it. Um, Meh. Okay, Pelipper 4, I think, probably. It helps
EGC
with
build.
like the arch stuff. In this metagame, there's not really like a rain abusers. I am noticing the support for Kingdra in the chat. Kingdra, no, just no,
It's just no.
just no. It's like, well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I put it in tier 5. But it's like the other half of the time, it like takes over the game. So it's like I don't think
If
it's a
you
good
can't
Pokemon, but it's usable. Whereas Kingdra is
it
just like,
the
man, like I don't even. I'm never scared of that Pokemon. I don't have to like really play around it. Like I don't know.
if I have a Wellspring, I don't care about Kingdra. It's just the gist of it.
Yeah. I'm probably hating their Kingdra a little too much. I'll bump it up to like tier 5, but like meh. Just meh. Alright, P2. 4. I put this in 3 a lot, but I haven't seen enough of it to really like be impressed with it. Uh, it's just kind of passive, and there's not really like the actual Trick Room abusers don't really pair well with it this generation, I think. Um, it's very like bulky, but like meh. I'm a
The
big P2
problem
fan, but like
I think the biggest problem for P2 is that you actually kind of really want to Terra this mon, because it really wants to stay out on the field if you get that special attack boost. Because there's a lot of the mons in the tier that it won't get the boost against. Like you really want to keep it out instead
Yeah,
of just using it to
that's
move
true.
things around. And it's not as effective at actually supporting the other Trick Room mons as opposed to just trying to do things on its own. Which
Yeah,
like
it just doesn't have the synergy with them, really. Like the just all the good Trick Room lines are like weak to fighting. Okay, Pre-Marina 5, I
I
guess.
love this mon. I love
Uh,
this mon.
meh, meh,
God typing.
meh. Worst Tapu Fini. Like worst Tapu Fini is still a good Pokemon, but it's not fundamentally interesting, and it's not good in my opinion. Um, definitely not like a UR mod, but it's just it kind of struggles to really do have like a meaningful impact. I think it's kind of just a Pokemon that's like when I see it, I'm like, all right, this shouldn't be too hard to take care of. All right, Bolt tier 2. This Pokemon is very good. Um, it really helps deal with like Torn and stuff, which Pokemon we'll get into very soon. Um,
Probably
very
the
very
best torn
bulky.
counter in the game.
Yeah,
Thank God for that.
yeah. It's type smooth with Draco too. Good Pokemon. Kind of just staple bulky tier 2 DOU presence. Okay, Reggie Drago. I'm gonna put this in tier 3. I think this is
I
really
agree.
threatening development that we've seen, and it's kind of like long overdue. It's not really any fairy types. Clicks Dragon Energy, blows things up. Saw it like a fair amount in OSTT. Like honestly, kind of a lot more than I was expecting, and I already thought it was usable. Um, especially in Top Cut, we've seen it a couple times. This is a good Pokemon.
Like
I think we need to
it's
like
not
start
even just that it
respecting it.
was used a lot. It was winning a lot is the crazy thing. Like it was winning most of its games from what I remember.
Yeah, there was like a set where like both players, there was like at least one player brought Palafin like every game, and then like the team with, or but not Palafin, what am I saying? One team with Drago every game, and like the team that brought Drago like won all 3 games in that set.
We have OSTT usage stats. Forget where that
Somewhere
is.
there. Not really. I don't really feel like pulling it up. But it's
Uh,
seen it saw usage from multiple people, especially Semper. I think used it a couple times. That's my vague recollection. All right, Registeel. Would have
I'm
put this
looking
one
at it now.
lower, but it's been kind of having a moment in OSGT from a certain player. Uh, put this actually bottom of tier 4. This is like rolled so many games that I've watched it play. Um, but it's also just I know from personal experience, it's very difficult to like actually like design a team around it. Um, but the team that it's been seen on has really been like uh, winning a lot of games for Despacito. Um, yeah, good one for sure. Or well, I don't even want to be know if I want to be that kind to it, but it's a very powerful matchup fishing Pokemon. It's like you can either deal with it or you just can't. It just clicks Amnesia, clips Iron Defense, and it just you never knock it out unless you crit it. All right, Rillaboom, tier 2. I don't really think it's like excellent, but it's good, and a lot of things benefit from the grassy terrain. I think it's really interesting about this gen Rillaboom as opposed to last gen is like this gen. I feel like I'm using it a lot more for like the other Pokemon benefiting from grassy terrain. Uh, as opposed to last gen, it also did that, but like it actually did like lots of pressure with Glide, uh, and it can still like hit things really hard with Woodhammer, and Glide can pick up knockouts. I've had games where this Pokemon has felt really powerful, but I can't put it higher than 2. But 2 is definitely respectable for it. I mean, it's a good Pokemon.
Yeah. I just went to look at the usage stat for Ready Drago. Almost every single round, it was like almost 60% use rate, including round one, it was brought 7 times. It won every game.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a high win rate. All right,
Like good
Groin Moon
Pokemon.
4. Pokemon's not bad, but like There's other things that want to be clicking Tailwind, but it's very bulky. It kind of just does more random things. All right, Scrimtail 4. This Pokemon has also saw a fair amount of use rate in OSTT, so I'm moving it up. Encore Disable, Dazzling Gleam Protect. That set's actually like Encore Disable on such a fast Pokemon is actually like way more powerful than like I think people gave it credit for. I think people are gonna be more prepared for it now. It's like something, and they'll know what it does. But like this Pokemon's good. Uh, can really troll
There's
some Pokemon with like those disruption tools.
most Pokemon in the tier, to be quite honest.
Yeah, yeah. Smeargle. Oh my god, I hate this Pokemon. Tier 5. It can be really annoying, but it's not doesn't
Mm,
have enough utility to
we don't got to talk
really
about
like.
this Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's
all
a
right.
Smeargle.
Steersler, you are. I have not seen this at all. Funny
I've been
coaching.
considering it again, but it's like, man, this thing's Lando Eye matchup is so bad.
Yeah, it's actually like unbelievably terrible. All
Everything
right.
else is like it can deal with, but like Lando Eye and Goldingo, just stop it entirely. And most of the coaching mons that want to get coached don't deal with those mons well in the first place. So it's like, oh well,
Yep.
what am I gonna do?
Guess I'm just gonna be useless. Okay. Spectre 4.
Go
Very, very powerful special
go out,
attacker.
Pokemon.
This Pokemon it just does so much damage. There's some really funny calcs. Like
Rubies.
Modest Spectre has rolls to KO, just Oko, Lando Eye, and Glamora. And if you have Rock Up, it's a guaranteed kill. Actually hilarious. Just it's beyond funny the amount of damage this thing does. Um, Drakian, I was messing around with this the other day a little bit. I think it's like tier 5 still. Beat up is just stupid, but it's
Justin.
also just like not consistent, but it's like very, very powerful when it actually like has the space to do it. Um, okay.
And sometimes it does something on its own. If there's like a random POW structure that you run it into, it can do decent damage into those with the rock slide anyways.
Yeah,
Those
for
teams are
sure.
particularly rock weak.
Tinglu, this Pokemon's gotten better. We're seeing a lot of that Orform team. I think it's bottom of tier 4.
Big,
Spams
big uptick.
EQ.
I'm almost tempted to say tier 3. I've seen quite a few different sets for this.
I think middle of tier 4 is fine. This Pokemon's not bad, but it's also yeah, it still has many of the same problems it did before. We're just seeing it more, which I think is going to obviously going to cause me to rate it a little bit higher. I think we were probably underusing it. I think 4 is probably like the right place. We'll see if it gets higher. If it gets like consistently holds this trend, I could maybe see tier 3. But for now, I think tier 4 is safer. All right, Torkoal, bro.
Fraud. Fraud.
Nah, just nah. All right, Torn.
Ladder has made me despise this Pokemon.
Yeah, it's just all right. Torn, I think is tier 1. This is the best speed control in the metagame. Um, is there really anything else to say? Bleakwind, really funny. Does way more damage than a Pokemon that clicks breaks through Tailwind really should be doing. Um,
It's not even just the best speed control. It's the best weather setter in the metagame.
that's true. Besides Ninetales, I'd say. Um, yeah, good mon. The thing about this is like the Lando Eye Torn, the two Pokemon I have in tier 1 here, are both like threatened by snow a lot. Uh, which is kind of annoying, but I
Pow.
do genuinely think they're like the most splashable uh, mons in the tier. Even more so than Wellspring. Although Wellspring is definitely close. I might be hating a little bit too much here. All right, Zarina,
Usable.
usable, but like
Just usable enough.
meh. All right, Tyranitar
Triple,
4, I think.
triple
This
X so
Pokemon,
funny.
like, Tyranitar does like some funny things, but like, it's not that guy realistically. Um, the set I've had the most fun running it was like the Choice Band. Everything else it feels like a little underwhelming. Uh, can get value, but it just doesn't have like the abusers that the other weathers have. So that's rely on itself. It's not quite competent at really like pulling through. I think most of the time. All right, Blood Moon 3. I think this belongs with Photograph. Uh, Fits well on the Torn stuff as well. Blows things up with Blood Moon. Uh, yeah, etc. Good Pokemon. Uh, the other one
Good
I'm not
pairing.
as high on. I'll put it in a tier 4. It obviously still like blows things up, but it's just like it kind of really wants to click
King of Harbor
EQ.
Room.
But the thing is, like Rillaboom is used a fair amount, and it's just very like prediction reliant once you actually get Trick Room up. It can be like outpositioned, I think, by the mons in the metagame. Okay, Vikavolt. There's only one reason why this is on there, and I can't even remember what it is. You are Volcanion. What are your thoughts on Volcanion? I'm curious.
I really like Subvolcanion lately, I'm not gonna lie. I think if you give this thing Substitute and just click Steam Eruption, it can cause a lot of damage. Like it's got enough utility and it's got enough power that like you can play around it just well enough, and it is naturally faster. Like, you can put this on a Tailwind team or a Semi-Room team, and it'll perform its job. It's consistent in that. It just has to like you have to have a game plan around Lando Eye is like the big caveat, and to a lesser extent Raging Bolt, which can usually just be patched by having a Chin Pow on the team. To be quite honest, because its matchup into the rest of the tier is quite solid.
Yeah, I think tier 2. I think this Pokemon is like very like it's like the second best water type, obviously. Sim Eruption's a broken move. Substitute also I agree on that. It's a good set on it. This Pokemon's just very balanced. It's also like one of the only mods here that's like weak to Lando Eye, but can actually pressure it if it gets the speed advantage, which obviously is not like guaranteed or even like something you could really rely on. But like it's not like as much food for Lando Eye as some of the others, I think, because Lando Eye can sometimes struggle to switch in when it's on the field, uh, among other things. All right, Volcarona 5. I can't put it any higher than that, but like Quiver Dance is still really funny. Like maybe it's not as funny
This
as it's been in
mon
the past, but like it's funny.
it, it you can definitely click it, and you can definitely follow me next to it, and it's like, well, there's a Volcarona that's at +2, and everything's gonna die now.
Yeah, it's just Quiver Dance is a broken move. Even if the Pokemon itself struggles with a lot of things, but there's like honestly the types it's weak to aren't even like that common, to be honest. Uh, but
It's
the
just
Pokemon
Gamora.
itself is not insane. Uh,
And
but it's Quiver Dance. What else needs to be said? All right, Walking Wake. Oh,
I like this mon.
I'm tempted to put it in tier 4. I'm gonna put it in tier 4. This Pokemon, I tried the AV set again, and it's just so bulky and like it gets so much value because you can just like speed creep Lando Eye, and then it's just like absurdly bulky, and then it clicks Snarl, it clicks Hydro Steam, you can even click Scald. It just this Pokemon is very very fun to play with. And
This
honestly, I
thing
think
has
like
so many. It has so many broken Assault Vest moves. Like you have Snarl, you have Flip Turn, you have Scald, you have Breaking Swipe and Knockoff if you want to be really funny with this thing. Like
oh that's
it
true.
has a ridiculous amount of utility option for a mon that's not even clicking a status move.
Yeah, yeah. It has such a great move pool for like no reason either. And it's also just very valuable water typing. Matches up well into the top 2, especially if you're running the Salt Vest. Nothing really pressures this with an Oko in the metagame, except for like Bolt Draco. Uh, that's kind of it.
You can creep that.
Okay. Gyapdos 5, Perma Tier 5 Mon. Punishes Ensign, but not as well as Gambit. Strong Brave Bird. I think Scarf could probably see some more use, but I haven't really seen this except for that one act sample. This is one I think we should
There's
see some more innovation with this. I think it has potential, but I can't really put it higher than tier 5 based on what I've seen.
There's some unique teams that have appeared, especially even in especially in VGC formats where this thing gets to click Tailwind and its other utility moves. Like it can do things. It's got a very unique kit that nothing else in the game can replicate. That is useful in its own right.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
needs to be experimented with.
All right, Whimsicott. It's good on some like strange hyper offense stuff, especially as paired with like special attackers with fake tiers. I think we should be try maybe see this a little bit more, but the port is like really ruined this Pokemon. I'd say 4. I think it's like it's actually like the ironically like maybe the strongest fairy type special attacker in the metagame. It's just hilarious. But that's just a Moonblast moment. Can actually
Like
do some
Moonblast on
respectable
Diancie, you
damage.
cowards.
It's true. But it has like it has its place, even if it struggles in the torn. And I think over time we'll see a little bit more caught usage. I wouldn't be surprised to see it land in tier 3 eventually. I like the Pokemon. It's solid, but not excellent.
Worm.
Not like SS. All right, Worm 4. This is
Worm.
so funny. This Pokemon is hilarious. Um, this is a very OSTT era, late DPBL era innovation. And really,
Worm.
it's just yeah, Worm, Worm. Walls Lando Eye, clicks Iron Defense. Actually, I view this very similarly to Registeel and the ability to like take over games. Uh,
W
neither I think is
It
like
was a lot of the top tier mons, to be
it
honest.
does, yeah. What Registeel has in stats, Orfor makes up with like the matchup spread just from not being weak to ground moves. And just like obviously the insanely high physical bulk. Ironically, even lower than Registeel, but like it's just funny. And the ability to sit on Lando
If they
Eye is so powerful because that's Registeel's biggest weakness is Lando Eye.
not
By
even
itself,
not even
Lando Eye.
just sit in on it. It's like the safest switch in of all time on Lando Eye.
Yeah. Like, you know
Like
how we're talking about how like Latios, they're really funny for potentially being able to wall it with Terra? This thing does it naturally. Hilarious. Just hilarious. Alright. Any final thoughts here? I think it's a pretty good list
mm,
overall.
do you want to decompress 1.5 or are we satisfied with that existing? Because I'm like it looks kind of weird, but I also it's also understandable.
I think it's accurate, but I need to move Ogerpon up to the top of to like bottom of tier 1. I think it's just better than the other two. I don't
You're sure?
like it, but like it's like respectable enough. I think I can't really. If I'm putting the other two in tier 1, I think it probably belongs up there in that same conversation. Tier 1.5 or tier 1. It's like on the border here. But I definitely think this like tier 1.5 kind of makes sense in this metagame. My only question is, do we want to move anything up to tier 1.5?
The only two I'm looking at are Arch and Ensign from this.
Yeah, I'll put Instant up there. Uh, it's
And I'm
just
still
very
questioning
splashable.
Amoonguss, but like,
Yeah,
mm,
these three I think could definitely stick out above like these. Bridge is very close and could probably be there too, but I don't know. Kind of it. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I would do more of this. This will probably compress this into a video. But I'm just very
said
tired. I've
he
had a
didn't
long
want to
week.
edit.
Yeah, I'll do it later. But I'm just tired. I'd low key might go to sleep very early. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Yeah, have a good one. Oh well, I'll put if this becomes a video, I'll put the link to the tier list in the description. Uh, that we used. All right. Have a good evening, everybody.